So my name's Karen, and I'm a medicine maker, and I have been since 1995. And so I'm here today to show you how to make hand sanitizer. It's very simple. It's almost so simple that, I'm going to try to fill it in with a little talking, but at least give you a little background about why you want to make it at a certain alcohol strength, the importance of it. But what I really also want to say is wash your hands with soap and water, and nothing is more effective than that to help keep you sanitized and from spreading this virus and other viruses and bacteria around. So make sure that you wash your hands first. Hand sanitizer is most effective when you do have clean hands, at least not dirty hands. If you find that you've got oil or mud or grease, whatever on your hands, wash them first. It will make the hand sanitizer better for you. It'll be more effective. So the easiest way to make hand sanitizer is just so very simple. There's simple ingredients that you need. It's hard right now to find alcohol, whether it's isopropyl alcohol. It's like there's nothing on the shelves now, whether it comes in 3 different alcohol percentages, and it's like 70%, 91%, and 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. You can't find any of them anywhere. And that which you can find online, it's like the prices have just skyrocketed. So what can you use that you might have at home? Well, if you're a rum drinker, that rum, save it so you can make sanitizer. Yeah, I'm just sorry tequila wasn't a little higher, because that would be good. But but if you have rum, it's rum 151, and that's 75.5% alcohol. Or if you have the ability to have pure alcohol, which is, I think this is 90%, beautiful pure alcohol. If you have this is ideal because it's less expensive ultimately than all the other alcohols, because you're paying a lot for water in that rum 151. Don't use vodka. It's not effective to kill the virus or viruses, because it's not just the coronavirus that's effective against. It's effective against most bacteria. I also want to say don't use vinegar, unfortunately, even though I love making a sanitizer with vinegar and isopropyl alcohol, but it's not effective against viruses. It is good for bacteria, not for virus. Most bacteria, but not for viruses. So don't use vinegar, don't use vodka or brandy. It has to be at least 60 to 70% alcohol to be an effective hand sanitizer. Okay, so which we have here. I have a very simple recipe if you're going to use a pure alcohol recipe that you want, and that means that it's above, let's say, 75.5%, that it's going to be either 90, 95, or 99%, that we consider that pure alcohol. Simple recipe is that you want to use 6 ounces of the alcohol, put it in a canning jar, just like I've done here, I've already pre-poured it, and then you want to add vegetable glycerin. So I got a little jar of vegetable glycerin, and this is pure vegetable glycerin. So I would add 1 ounce of this, or I could add, in place of the vegetable glycerin, I could add aloe vera juice. These are both considered emollients. They're going to keep your skin moisturized after the drying effect of the alcohol. But I have to tell you, the aloe vera, I've been having problems with it because it always has something in it to preserve. And it's okay if you're making it for yourself. It's going to end up a little clumpy. Just shake it up. I think we're used to the market commercial hand sanitizers, that they're a little jelly-like and they're thicker on our hands when we put them out, and so it doesn't run off. This is not going to make that. This will not even make that because it tends to clump in the higher alcohol. So if you're going to use it, just be aware of that, but you can shake it up as much as you can. I like using vegetable glycerin, but just a touch of it, or I might do half and half. But 1 ounce of either glycerin by itself or aloe by itself, or half and half of that. You want to add that to it. So we've got that, and then you're going to use, if you have it, lovely Hydrosol. And the Hydrosol is the water that's produced whenever you do a distillation of a plant. And we have lovely Susan's Botanical Insights. This is rosemary that was distilled just yesterday, so it's just wonderful. I know. Thank you for your lovely hydrosols. This one's lavender.
Now, would you be able to use this hydrosol in addition to the alcohol and the glycerin and
yes.
the hydro? Okay.
Yes, this is the recipe of these things right here. So you've got your alcohol, which is this. you've got your glycerin and or aloe, and then you have your hydrosols. This is preferred. If you don't have hydrosol, then you can use distilled water. But hydrosol, to me, that is, if you have access to it, please use it. It just makes such a lovely hand sanitizer. The antimicrobial properties in the hydrosol also comes across. You know, it comes through into, makes a very effective hand sanitizer. And it's just lovely to smell, too. You wouldn't necessarily have to add essential oils. Because along with all of this, I like to add essential oils for the additional antimicrobial qualities that they have. And again, it could be, my favorites are tea tree and lavender essential oils. It could be a citrus, like lemon or grapefruit, are some favorites as well. Thyme is also another really good one to use. Anything that's antiviral, you want to look at using in this process for a hand sanitizer. So I've already added my portion, my 6 ounces of my pure alcohol to the jar, and I'm just going to pour now. I think, I don't know, I'm going to do a mixture. No, I'm just going to do vegetable glycerin. So it's going to be 1 ounce of vegetable glycerin. I'm going to add to this. So add here, and it's very thicky. It's very thick. What I meant is it's very sticky as well.
Thick works.
Well, if you add too much, let's say you're like, oh, I'm not going to add as much alcohol, I'm going to add more vegetable glycerin, it's just so sticky on your skin. But once it dries, it's very soft. But while it's trying to dry, it's not good, I think. Okay, I'm going to add that. Always put your lid back on. I always knock things over.
Experience speaking.
Yes, I'm always knocking it over. So, and just with that. So with the hydrosol, we could do a mixture. We have 2, the lavender and the rosemary, and you would want to add an ounce, and that would make a total of 8 ounces. So again, 6 ounces of your pure alcohol. It would be an ounce of your vegetable glycerin and or aloe vera, and then an ounce of hydrosol. So I think we'll do a lovely little mixture, half and half of that. So this will make 8 ounces if you're using pure alcohol. I'll talk about if you're using less than that in the next recipe. Anyway, lovely.
So you just shake that up.
Shake, thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. I know, yeah. Gosh, oh, I mean, I just got a big smile. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's gorgeous. Lovely. So that would be half. Okay.
And rosemary hydrosol you can put directly on your skin, but rosemary oil you cannot. Is that how
Correct.
it is? Okay.
So rosemary hydrosol, you can drink it. You could cook with it.
Oh,
It's actually really lovely
makes sense.
that way. I mean, hydrosols.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that open, but I'm going to shake this lavender up,
And so 1 ounce, a half ounce each? Or?
half ounce each, to make 1 ounce. Oh man, that smells so good. Okay. Ready? Okay. This is the simple recipe. And this recipe is adapted from the World Health Organization's formula that's on their website. It's very, they have a whole 9-page thing that talks about making hand sanitizers because they want places that don't have access to water for people to be able to have sanitized, clean hands and not spreading, viruses and bacteria. So that is really it. Very simple. One thing I'm missing though is the label, so please label it, hand sanitizer. This formula will reduce the alcohol percentage down to 65%. So remember, again, you need at least 60 to 70% to make an effective hand sanitizer. I try to figure out how to make it so it lands in between, so 65% gives me a little leeway. If it's lower than 60%, it's just not as effective. So here's your label.
It can't be too high.
Thank you. It can be. If you use, you're thinking, we live in the U.S., we like things to be really strong. And this much, if I can use this much, that must be better than, using that much. So
500 wasn't it?
yes. So you don't want to do that because reason why it needs to be in between 60 to 70% and no higher than 70% is that the higher alcohol percentage it's not as effective as to kill the virus. It's because the coronavirus is called an enveloped virus, and so it has a membrane around the cell of it, and so when you have pure alcohol, it actually toughens that membrane. Makes it harder for the alcohol to get in to kill it. So you have to have some water in your hand sanitizer in order to make it effective. So that's why 60 to 70%. But you have to realize that it's like, hydrosol is mostly water. Glycerin has, 5% water in it, even though we call it pure. So you do get a little water that way, but it's generally not enough. So you have to make sure that you add it to your pure alcohol. That's why the hydrosol or the distilled water is so important. I mean, even your aloe vera gel is mostly water. Okay, so that's it. We can choose to add essential oils if we want to it. So what I do is I like to smell it, but I'll generally add 10 to 15 drops of essential oil to this size. And to me, it's not too overpowering. Keeps the price range, intact, so it's not too expensive to make, and yet it still makes a powerful hand sanitizer. That's really it.
Did you
Yes.
add the hydrogen peroxide?
Oh, I was going to talk about.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So you do see hydrogen peroxide up here. We can add a splash to this. So the World Health Organization's recipe calls for that. And the reason why they add it to it is because it kills any possible bacteria that can grow within your solution. And so what you do is you'll add it to it just like a splash and let it sit overnight. And what it does is it kills any possible bacteria spores that develop, because there's some bacteria that are really smart, and in the presence of alcohol, they're survival mode, so they'll produce spores in order to survive, and they can survive in the alcohol like that. So we add this to it and let it sit overnight. I mean, I also make a spray to clean my countertops that have hydrogen peroxide in it too. So to me, it's like, oh, this is great to add to it. But if you don't have it, don't worry about it.
And if you don't have the aloe in there, do you have to vigorously shake it, or it's good to go?
If you have the aloe in there, you're going to have to vigorously shake it.
But if you don't, then it's just good to go.
Well, I mean, you should shake it, but you're good to go in
Okay.
general. You're not going to have to vigorously shake it. So again, a little kitchen witch in here, you just put a little splash.
And what is the percentage of the hydrogen peroxide?
This is 3% hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, and again, you don't need a lot of it to make it happen. You should make in large amounts. So I'm going to shake it up. What do you think? Should I add some essential oils to it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
You
smell
know,
it.
I like to smell it. just
Oh yeah,
as
let's
it is,
smell it.
'cause
I
I'm
know.
a smeller.
Well, see, I'm smelling mostly alcohol.
You smell the hydrosol?
Oh,
But it-
Well, yeah.
It's coming
Well,
around.
we'd have to put in a lot more, and that can reduce it down below our 60% level.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping it would smell really good.
Woo!
so you need an essential oil.
You need a lot of
What's
ice.
that?
You need an essential oil.
It does,
An
it does.
umbrella.
And the shepherd tea tree, sage, and marjoram, sweet marjoram, are also, again, like your
But when we
sage and
were-
marjoram are your culinary herbs. Yeah. Thanks.
When we were making it though, we made one with just essential oil, and then we made one with hydrosol and essential
Yeah.
oil, and you could smell the difference, like, it had different layers,
Yeah.
kind of, with the hydrosol. It was
Yeah.
better,
Interesting.
I thought.
Yeah, and what I feel it happens is that it matures, it's like you let it sit overnight, and the fragrance blooms in it, so it does get better. So, I don't have a little dropper thing in here, so. Yeah,
There you go. 50.
go. And honestly, it's not gonna hurt if you put more than that, it's just the minimum should be between 10 and 15.
Yes,
No,
that's good,
well,
that's good.
Well, now the table's sanitized. This is tea tree, so. Oh, yeah.
I like tea
All right, and then shake it up. So my label, again, I would add everything that I put in here, the hydrogen peroxide, the hydrosols, the essential oils get added to my label. Because someone might be allergic to something in there. Let's see what it smells. Oh, it smells tea tree.
And my sinuses are totally clear.
I know, I know. There will be no viruses living.
Whoa.
That's good.
I like it though.
Yeah. I mean, it smells very antiseptic, doesn't it? I think I might add a little marjoram to it. I think it might. What do you think? I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, do
It'll be
it.
fun.
Do it.
Let's just do it.
That's good. So you had, tea tree, sage, and rosemary,
Yes.
and then you're
Well,
gonna add.
tea tree and sage, and then the rosemary and lavender essential oil,
Got it.
hydrosols.
Got
And
it.
now I'm gonna add a little bit of sweet marjoram essential oil,
So, no,
Just
this
cuts
was rosemary
as I can.
and white sage. This is white sage.
All right, there might be like 60 drops in there
So this was
total of essential oil.
So she didn't do white sage and rosemary.
Oh yeah, I like that. I'm gonna put it in a little bottle,
white.
Rosemary.
all right, little spray bottle. I like using those.
Didn't put essential oils.
Oh, I don't think that
She
one.
tea tree. and
No, it
she's gonna
doesn't,
do
it's
marjoram.
okay. We'll see.
I have a.
Do you have a small one?
And what was the other,
Right,
what was the
this
other
guy.
essential oil you put in? Tea tree and lavender?
Tea tree, no, sage and
Sage.
sweet marjoram.
Oh, it was sage, white sage?
Sage.
Yeah,
White sage.
no, it's culinary sage.
Oh, call it green sage.
Mm-hmm. All right. Got all these jars here.
I'm not very linear.
And when I do have things that I want to, it's like I try not to use the plastic, even though it's hard plastic, when I use a lot of essential oil, because it's very hard to get the fragrance out of there. All right. All right, let's pretend there's a label on this. But, okay, so I've got, my alternative from washing my hands with warm water and soap, because I've been out shopping, I come back into the car, I have a bottle of hand sanitizer. And the deal about using hand sanitizer, you have to make sure that your hand is well coated. There we go. And then rub it briskly on your hand. So get it between your fingers, try to get it between under your fingernails and like that. And just rub it, let it dry. That's the deal. You
Surgeons
cannot,
do this thing like that, they curl
Yeah,
their
like that,
fingers,
yeah.
surgeon rub.
exactly, get it in there.
Under the nails?
Under the nails, yeah.
And it gets all that.
Yeah, see, and I usually, but that's actually a nice way to do it, I usually, and I'll do this until it's dry. And rather than 20, it's not like you're washing your hands with soap and water where you count to 20. It has to be dry. And you might feel like, oh, the vegetable glycerin's sticky. It does feel a little bit like that when it's wet, but once it dries, then it just feels very smooth on your
And
skin.
does it also protect your skin from that alcohol? the-
Yes, it does.
the emollients?
So the reason why you put in vegetable glycerin or aloe vera or a combination thereof is it moisturizes your skin.
Doesn't make it so dry and.
That's right, because pure alcohol or 60% alcohol, 65% alcohol can be drying to your skin, especially if you're using it now. Maybe more than once or twice or 3 times a day. It can be very drying. And you're washing your hands on top of that. But I also use this. I might spray it down on my steering wheel or my car door handle or just to help keep your phone.
Great
However, do
Christmas
not
gift.
spray it on the screen of your phone. There's a protective covering on that. So
Because the Apple stores are closed.
yes, they're closed. You can't get that fixed. But it can destroy the coating even that they put on the glass of your screen. So don't do that.
Can only get oranges.
So how important do you think it is I shake everything?
I do too.
Yeah, so.
It's important to shake it up because it can separate. I mean, this is frankly there's emulsifiers in it, but we didn't use a blender to emulsify it. We could. It's like with the aloe vera gel, conceivably you can whip it so that it'll stay in solution. But I just feel like, the average person is just like, just make it, put it in your jar, shake it up, and then every time you go to use it, you shake it. Yeah. That's it. And then the other way, same proportion of, we want to make 8 ounces of hand sanitizer using like rum 151, this is how you want to break down your recipe. It's going to be 7 ounces of rum 151, or your higher percentage of isopropyl alcohol, that's 91%. You can use, or excuse me, 70%. You would use proportions of 7 ounces of that alcohol, and then 1 ounce of your emollient, or you can skip that altogether, but you can add your hydrosol or your distilled water. The emollient is just, does nothing in terms of creating, of being sanitizing. It's just there so it doesn't dry out your skin so much, the alcohol, okay? So simple recipe, rum 151 or 70% isopropyl alcohol. You're just gonna use 7 ounces of that, and then 1 ounce of hydrosol if you like, or vegetable glycerin, or your aloe vera. And then you can still add your essential oils. It usually ends up, so the other one that we just made with a higher percentage of alcohol, that brings the percentage down to 65%, and the other one just tops it off at between 60, 61%. Okay, so you're still covered by all of that. Anyway,
Nice.
that's it.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Yay. One question,
Yes.
if people, where do people find vegetable glycerin if you don't have like a local herb shop or something? Can you find it at like the market, or is it?
They do have it,
Yeah.
Whole Foods has it,
Whole
Olive Market
Foods,
has
yeah.
it, Rosemary's Garden has it.
Okay, so
It
like
can be
marketplaces will
found.
have it?
Yes,
Yeah.
they will. Usually, I mean, you're probably not Safeway, but it might. Usually pharmacies will have it.
Okay.
And it might just be called glycerin because it'll be made from an animal byproduct. It's made from fats.
Mhm.
And so vegetable glycerin is usually made from coconut oil or palm oil, something like that.
And
Mhm.
if somebody wanted to get high proof alcohol, they could go to the place in Oregon.
Yes, you could do organic. It's called Organic Alcohol Company, and they'll ship to you. They're actually they have really good prices and beautiful organic alcohol. It can be sugar cane. They make it from wheat, from corn, all sorts of things. Lychee berries, oranges. It's really lovely stuff. Yeah.
I stay away from the green ones and use
Yeah.
the grape and
Yeah,
and
and
the
grape.
cane, just in case someone, because people who are gluten intolerant, that does actually transfer into the alcohol, so you can't have the grain alcohols.
Yeah.
I learned
Well,
that
you-
when I was making medicine years ago, that was
Yeah.
the thing.
But you know, actually, from what I understand, is gluten is a really heavy protein, and it
Oh.
does not
It
distill
falls
water.
out.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I do have a reaction to it.
Do you? Yeah, well, see, you can, because I have these little tester bottles of all those different alcohols, and when you taste them, you can taste the difference.
And that's kind of a
Between
cool idea, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I brought them, because it's fascinating. It's like, even though it's a distilled product, you could only get it to 95%. That other, 5% is the water, but it's like energetically, it's like you're getting that plant, whatever it is, so. I
Can
can
we
see
just
it
line up a
very
bunch of
well.
little shot glasses?
They go for a walk on the
You know,
sun.
Even one drop is like,
Okay.
15 single drops adds up. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're good? Okay.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.